Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the Business of Happiness podcast. Guys, it's Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and I'm so excited to be with you here today. Today is going to be a great day. It is summer. Isn't it amazing how the weather just impacts you differently? The weather just makes you feel better. At least here, living in the Northeast, I live in Maine, for those of you who don't know. I never thought I had seasonal affect disorder, but man, do I feel good in the summertime. Man, do I feel good when I can get outside. Oh, it makes such a difference. And today's episode, we are talking about feeling good. And when you get to choose to feel good. And what happens when you don't make that choice for yourself? What happens in your body when you don't uphold the boundaries for yourself? When you don't take radical personal responsibility for your own health, and I mean physical and mental and emotional. Your body says no when you don't say no. And I love that saying that the body says no, because we're such people pleasers, aren't we? In medicine and dentistry, we tend to want to take care of everybody else. And so we overcompensate, or rather overgive, overdeliver, overwork, overachieve. Oh my gosh. I love you so much. I love you because I am you, but I know you because I know that you are overgiving. And when we don't say no, our body says no. Just yesterday, I was recording an information session. Radical Happiness for Practitioners is now live. The enrollment window is now open. This 9-week transformational program for women in medicine and dentistry. And by the way, yes, side note, there is a men's group. This is the inaugural men's group. I've never run an all men's group in Radical Happiness. Many men have gone through the program, but this is an exclusively for men and exclusively for women's group. And the enrollment window is open. They're both taking place this summer, starting July 12th. And I will leave a link in the show notes. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more during this episode. But if you're interested, go straight to the link in the show notes. And you can actually find it at www.thebizofhappiness.com. So if you're driving, put that in the back of your mind, thebizofhappiness.com. And right there on the first landing page is information about Radical Happiness. But I digress. When I was talking about Radical Happiness last night at this information session for some incredible women, specifically in dentistry, just telling them about the program, I shared something I realized I've not shared on this podcast. And to all of my incredible podcast listeners, I'm sharing this from a space of love and vulnerability, because I do know and trust that you're here for a reason. That if you've taken the time to listen to this podcast, it's because it's serving you in some deeper way, and that it's impacting you in a deeper way. And so my story has connected with you in some way. So it behooves me to share even more. And this part of my journey that has radically changed my life. And this story that I'm sharing today is my story of when my body said no. And the really fascinating thing is, I wasn't even aware. I wasn't even aware of what my body was doing. I was pushing through and pushing past and pretending and giving myself a million excuses. And my body was saying no almost daily. All right, what the hell am I talking about? Let me tell you a little more. I have always been what I used to tell myself was an all or nothing person. I mean, I do things intensely. That's how I started 2 orthodontic practices, I told myself. It's how I ran marathons, I told myself. It's how I got through dental school. It's how I achieved so much. I told myself that was an incredible superpower, that I just pushed through anything, even when things seemed really hard or I didn't feel good. And that push through mentality led me to literally delivering my first two babies months prematurely, not because there was anything wrong with my body. And I think I told myself at the time, like, oh, you're the kind of person who can't hold on to pregnancies for full term, because both of my first two pregnancies were months. I delivered months prematurely and left these tiny little sweet babies so early in their gestational growth that they were in the NICU for a while. But what was actually happening is my body was saying no. My body was saying, this is such a toxic environment of cortisol and adrenaline for these babies to be developing in. And it was additional stress for me. My body could only handle so much stress. And I know there was nothing wrong with me or my body's ability to carry babies to full term, because I had started doing this work, the foundational work of radical happiness, when I was pregnant with my third child. And guess what? I carried her 2 weeks late. Literally, she just kept staying in there. My body was such a peaceful place at that point that she was very comfortable. And at 10 days after my due date, the doctor was like, all right, let's set up a day to induce here. I digress. When my body was really saying no for most of my life, the way it was presenting was with migraines. Once again, I told myself, this is just who I am. I am a migraine sufferer. I told myself that was just something I couldn't change. And I thought I knew I couldn't change it because I tried everything to change it. I went on every medication known to anybody. I went to so many neurologists. I had so many MRIs and CAT scans and you name it, sleep studies. I went to hormonal endocrinologists, hormonal experts. I went on blood pressure medication. I went on anti-seizure medication. I tried cupping and acupuncture. I tried massages. I tried everything. I tried prophylactic support to prevent me from getting migraines. I tried taking heavy medication to stop the pain. What's so interesting is when you have something like migraines that exists from age 16 to 43, 46. Okay, there you go. 30 years. Thank you. I've been wanting to do the math on that. For 30 years, I had migraines. And the only times I didn't have migraines was when I was pregnant or nursing. So for me, I even had more evidence to tell myself, oh, it's a hormonal imbalance in my body and there's nothing I can do about it because all the hormone therapies I tried didn't impact my migraines at all. I went on the Mirena. I went on birth control. I tried everything. Nothing touched them. I even went through menopause. Nothing touched them. My body was saying no. My body was saying no 4 to 19 times a month. I would have sometimes my best months were only 4 migraines and I would celebrate. Oh my God, I only had 4 migraines. And the really hard months were the ones where I had 19. And I'm talking about migraines that last days. I'm talking about the blinding, can't have light, can't smell brownies baking in the kitchen, interrupt your patient care to go vomit in the bathroom kind of migraines. My family, my whole family, my extended family, everyone knew, my team at the practice knew when I was having a migraine. They could see it in my eyes. I think my patients didn't realize because I played it off really well. I knew the right drugs to take for those migraine sufferers out there. I was on Imitrex and Naratriptan and Rizatriptan. So I had the arsenal of medications that I would dip into, and I kept some in my drawer in my office, and I kept some in my car, and I kept some in my toiletries bag whenever I traveled or went on a plane. I never knew when these damn things would hit, but I knew they were going to hit. So there was always a stash in different bags and different purses. And, it's so funny because looking back now, I can totally see what happened. I can completely see the pattern. And I even remember a few years ago, I was getting ready for work, woke up with a migraine. I was feeling so sick. And of course, what did that mean on the days I had a migraine? I didn't work out. I was hard to meditate, although sometimes I went to meditation to try to calm me down. I would started looking into all of this, really taking care of myself. So I was on a regular regimen of exercise, eating well. Trust me, I went through the whole nutrition. I went through every possible cause of my migraines and cut out balsamic vinegar and anything that was aged in oak barrels and, nightshade vegetables, everything. And I never ate that stuff. Red wine, tomatoes, chocolate, you name it. I stayed away from those things religiously, but still the migraines perpetuated. And I remembered now, looking back a few years ago, I woke up in the morning, had a migraine, went downstairs. Killian, my husband, noticed by my eyes. I'd already taken the rizatriptan. And he said, "Oh, babe, another one, don't you?" And I said, "Yep, I do." And he didn't even ask anymore, "Are you going to work?" Because it was obvious I was. That was my persona. I pushed through. Just like even when I had those 2 babies prematurely, 2 months before they were due, I was back at work before their due dates. I was seeing patients before either Cass or Leaf's due dates. Of course, I pushed through. When I was literally crying and in tears at night because my baby was at the NICU and I had to come home, they wouldn't let me stay in the hospital with him. I saw patients the next day. I just pushed through. Of course, I didn't tell my patients. I just showed up for the responsibility I thought I needed to show up for giving my patients what I thought I had promised. I was in integrity. And there was almost like a sense of superiority, like, yeah, I can do this. I didn't expect it of anyone else. But man, I could do it. And so, of course, I was expected to do it. And that push through mentality followed me for 30 years with my migraines. So if I had a migraine, I wasn't going to miss 19 days. And 19 migraines looks more like 25 days because they last longer than a day, some of them. So I wasn't going to miss 25 days a month of work. You can't run a practice that way. So of course I pushed through. And I never talked about it because what am I going to do? Complain about my migraines? There are people out there with MS. There are people out there who have much more difficult problems to work through. Who am I? I just have to take this medication and it takes away the pain. Yes, I don't have great word recall when I'm on that medication. Yes, I don't get to take care of my body. Yes, I don't get to enjoy life like splash with the kids in the lake or come home and enjoy reading a book to my daughter because I'm coming home and I'm going straight to bed. Yes, I don't get to enjoy my life 30 days a month, but I wasn't going to complain about it. I was still showing up for my patients. That's what I told myself. I wasn't even aware. All I knew was I had tried everything as far as pharmaceuticals were concerned, treatment, and nothing worked. So this was my lot in life. I was gathering evidence to support my own limitation. And my body kept saying no. And on that morning when Killian said to me, "Wow, you really look like you have a bad migraine today," then didn't even ask, "Are you going to go to the office?" Because he knew the answer. Pretty obvious. I'd never not gone. Our entire marriage, he only ever knew me as someone who had migraines. So, of course. And I remember something in me was like, oh, I think I'd done, this is what it was. It was that I'd done a little bit of personal development work at this point. And I'd recognized the value of gratitude. Huge, right? So all of you listening out there who have done some of this work, who have worked with therapists, who have maybe read all the books on personal development, who have some little bit of spiritual enlightenment and realize, oh, wait a minute, the energetic vibration of gratitude is powerful. And if I just return to gratitude every now and then, I actually can get pretty far in my day. I can actually address some anxiety. I can address some depression, different amounts of it. But gratitude is one of those really powerful practices. Okay, so that morning, I can still picture where we were in the kitchen. And I was walking into the pantry as he said it, just, getting myself something not too strong to swallow so that I had some energy for the day because I was so nauseous, looking for something that was pretty bland. And as I did, He said to me, "Oh, you look like you have a bad migraine." And I remembered in the back of the recesses of my mind, gratitude. And I remember thinking to myself, well, what do I have to be grateful for? And I turned and I said to him, babe, I am a little grateful for these migraines because on the days that I have migraines and when I take this medication, it really slows me down. It really forces me not to multitask. And because I can't do many things at once, when I'm with my patients, I'm really with them. I give myself permission to not do extra emails, to not make additional phone calls, to not be working on bigger projects, and I'm just present for my patients. And it's actually kind of nice because that's what I love about ortho, is that one-on-one time, and I actually get to just really focus on one patient at a time. Guys, those words actually came out of my mouth, and I didn't even realize what I was saying. My body was saying no when I couldn't. My migraines were serving a purpose. They were giving me permission to slow down. When I wouldn't listen, when I wouldn't take that initiative and that radical personal responsibility for myself, my body said, slow down. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it so that you don't have a choice. You're going to slow down. And I did. And a part of me actually valued and appreciated it. When we can't say no, the body will say no for us every single time. When I realized that and doing the work of radical happiness and this incredible work that I give to you in this program, when I put that work to use for me and I did the subconscious healing, and I asked myself, what purpose is the migraine serving? And that part of me answered, to slow you down. It was like a light bulb went off inside of me. And I realized, oh, wow, body, I don't need you to do that for me anymore. I got it. I'll take it from here. I don't need the migraines. I will make a promise right here and right now not to ever over effort, people please, push myself, not listen to my body ever again. And guys, the moment I had that realization and I embedded that belief in my subconscious, using the work, by the way, from Radical Happiness that I teach in this incredible program, my migraines stopped that day. That day. I have had 2 since March of 2023. 2 migraines total, where I was experiencing 4 to 19 a month. And those 2 migraines were the 2 times that I was not as vigilant of taking care of myself, not prioritizing my sleep, not prioritizing my energy, not prioritizing how I feel. And that is why I say at the end of every episode, when you feel good, you can do good. Because when your body feels good, you can actually take action. And since then, I have launched 3 businesses. I have found more happiness in my entire life. I've actually lived in presence every single day. It did not mean I didn't get to choose phenomenal experiences and enormous financial growth and enormous experiential growth. I found deeper relationships since then, all because I chose me and prioritizing the way I felt. The moment I did that, I was able to be more available for my patients because I wasn't showing up with a migraine anymore. I was showing up with the practices and tools to refuel me, to take care of me. It still blows my mind. It was such an integral part of my life, these damn migraines, that I still to this day, in my Invisalign case, with my retainer in it, I have a single rizatriptan pill. At this point, it's expired, but I still keep it there because it's so ingrained in me, and it was such a habit pattern. It was like brushing my teeth. I always had a pill nearby. And I'll still find, it's so funny. I'll find like a clutch that I haven't worn in over a year that I wore out to a party, a dinner party, and there will be a couple pills in there. And it actually took a really courageous leap of faith for me to stop including them when I traveled, because when I travel, of course, there's no pharmacy that has my prescription waiting for me to access. But guys, it's true. I don't get migraines anymore. And it's not that I'm not telling you this on this podcast because I think I've found the cure for migraines, not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just telling you that my experience with my body was telling me no, was saying no for me in the form of migraines when I wouldn't. And that I am saying with 100% authenticity and conviction. I know that's what was happening in my body because the day I made a promise to myself not to keep pushing through and to listen to and prioritize how I feel, everything changed. And that is the power of radical happiness for practitioners. This 9-week program is proven. We have had dozens of women and men go through this program with similar, incredible, life-altering results. I stand behind this work. It is 100% the how of finding happiness as a healthcare provider, a doctor or a dentist in this fast-paced healthcare system living in the Western society, which is also so pressurized. This is the how. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know what, Tarryn? I've read the books. I've gone to coaches. I've gone to therapists. I know that it doesn't work. I'm telling you, radical happiness does. It does. It changed my life. And it didn't only change my life. The ripple effects on the world around me are phenomenal. When I see the impact that taking care of me in this way has had on my children, the greatest gift I could ever have given them. Literally, I used to say the greatest gift I ever gave my kids was the gift of a sibling. Now I know it's so much more powerful than that. The greatest gift I ever gave my kids was taking care of me. And I don't mean pedicures. Of course, those are lovely, and bubble baths and massages every month. No. I mean really doing the work. So what is radical happiness? It is a research-proven methodology of a combination of mindset mastery, nervous system regulation techniques, which, by the way, that is, I think, one of the biggest components of radical happiness that's missing from other coaching experiences and therapy. And then the third, which was for me the most powerful because I had already been doing the mindset mastery. I had already been studying that. I was already a neurolinguistic programming certified coach at this point. So I knew all the mindset stuff. What changed everything for me was the subconscious reprogramming that happens when you take radical happiness. And I share with you and I teach you how to do that for yourself. The whole point of this 9-week program is that when you graduate, you have all the tools and practices to support yourself and to uncover those limiting beliefs, heal them, the wounds that cause them, because guess what? Those limiting beliefs are never real. They're stories that we've attached to ourselves, just like my limiting belief was that I could never heal or overcome my migraines. I mean, 30 years of evidence that it was not possible. That was my limiting belief. And like this, overnight, I taught my body that it was safe to leave that protection up to me. And once I made that contract with my subconscious, everything shifted. And can you imagine how much more energy I have? How much more is possible for me now? It's amazing. So I know that you're listening to this and I know that you have questions. And maybe those questions are, is this even relevant for me? In the show notes, I will leave you a link to a free 15-minute chat with me just to find out, hey, Tarryn, what is this radical happiness all about? Here's my situation. Is this even appropriate for me? Maybe you're wondering, like, am I the right person for this? So in the show notes, just scroll down and you'll see two things. The link to the landing page, which will give you all the information about the start date, when it happens, who it's for, frequently asked questions. And then secondly, a link to talk directly to me one-on-one, where we can have a moment and I can help you understand what are the next best steps for you. And maybe it's radical happiness and maybe it isn't. But please know I'm here for you. As my valued listeners, if you have found anything of support in this podcast, please know that I value you because you recognize the things that matter, because you get it. And I am here to support you further. And if there's one thing that you take away from every episode, just one, and really embed it in your heart, it's remembering that you are whole, you are enough, and that when you feel good, that is when you can do good. Radical happiness for practitioners is the how of feeling good. Bye-bye. Hey, beauty, if you enjoyed this episode, then like and subscribe to the show and receive this beautiful message of empowerment, remembering what you are capable of and the purpose you serve in this world every single week. And if you know of a colleague who needs this message, share this episode with her. This is how we raise the collective in healthcare, reminding one another and supporting one another. Community is the answer. This is how we grow it. And lastly, I invite you to a phenomenal in-person event this October 2024, the Empower Her Retreat, exclusively for women in medicine and dentistry on the beach. It will change your life. And I cannot wait to see you there. Check out the details in the show notes and have a phenomenal day remembering that you are enough.